Welcome, my Algebra 2 students. We're in lesson 101. We're going to talk about percent markups. This is a little bit of a slower pace than what we're used to. You deserve a little bit of a break. So let's talk about this. The difference between the selling price of a piece of merchandise and the price paid for it is called markup. If I can spell it, that would be great. And my pen's not doing right. There we go. Mark up. That's what we're talking about. For example, if a dealer or business owner purchased an item from a wholesaler for $40 and sold it for $50, we say that the markup was $10. $10 is 25% of $40, but it's only 20% of $50. So the markup was 20% of the selling price and 25% of the purchase price. The store owner would say the markup was 20%, but the customer would say the markup was 25%. The selling price is the purchase price plus the markup. So that's our formula. Selling price equals the purchase price, or the cost, let's put cost, plus the markup. And the markup is the amount that the business owner makes. It's the revenue. Now, the markup is not always free and clear. The markup covers the expenses above the cost of the product that the business owner is selling. So, for instance, in the example we gave, the person, they bought something for $40 and they sold it for $50. So they added $10 to it, and the $50 was the selling price. Let's say they sold 10 of these, right? So 10 times the markup would be $100 of revenue that they made on this product. But out of that revenue, they had to pay an employee that was there that worked that day $50. And then they had to pay $20 of that had to go towards utilities. So they only made $30 out of all of that $100. So a business has to make profit. There has to be a markup in order for that business to succeed. Because if they don't have this, what do they pay themselves? What do they pay their bills with? It costs money to run a business above just the products that they sell, especially if they have employees, because then they have to pay employee taxes, they have to pay employee wages, they have to pay employee health benefits, they have to pay into an unemployment fund. All of that it comes into play whenever you have employees. So there should be a markup over the cost of goods sold. Not to mention the fact that the business owner probably has kids and he wants to pay for their college and food and clothing and their utilities as well. So that is our formula for markup, that the selling price is equal to the cost plus the markup. So let's do a problem. Actually, I think I'm just going to clear the page. Let's do our first example problem. My computer is moving a little bit slow today. Just trying to think too much. There we go. All right, here we go. Let me get my pen back. Let's do 101.1. All right, I'm going to write it up here for us. All right, the selling price was $48. If the markup was 20% of the purchase price, or the cost, what was the purchase price? What was the markup? So first, let's write out our formula. We have the selling price is equal to the cost plus the markup, right? So if we substitute in the selling price, $48, is equal to the cost plus the markup. So the markup was 20%, and you have the cost. So if we know that the markup is 20% of cost, right, then we could say cost is 1, right? Let's say 1, and the markup is going to be 20% of this. So we could say 0.2 of the cost is the markup, right? So the markup equals 20% of the cost. We put this in decimal form. Markup is equal to 0.2 of the cost, right? Because we know of means multiplication, so 0.2 the cost. So we have the cost plus 0.2 of the cost. So 48 is equal to 1.2 of the cost. So we can divide both sides by 1.2. And we find that 40 is equal to the cost. So that tells us that the purchase price, or the cost, was equal to $40, and the markup was equal to $8. All right, see how we did that? We have to relate markup to cost when we start with the selling price. So let's look at another one. I'm going to clear the page. Let's put 101.2 up here. All right, so 101.2 says the purchase price, which we know is the cost of the item, was $1,800. Ooh, that must be something really, really nice. If the markup was 40% of the selling price, what was the selling price? So let's put in our formula. Selling price is equal to the cost plus the markup, right? So the selling price, we don't know what that is yet, right? It says what was the selling price. That's what we're looking for. So SP, we don't know what that is. And our purchase or cost of the item was $1,800. Plus, we have 40%. If the markup was 40% of the selling price, so what we need to do is we need to write a formula for markup here. Markup was. So markup was is a form of is. So markup is equal to 40% of the selling price. So 40% times the selling price. So markup is equal to 0.4 times SP, right? So 1,800 plus 0.4 SP. So I'm going to subtract 0.4 SP from both sides. And then I'm going to get 0.6 SP is equal to $1,800. Divide both sides by 0.6. And I get that the selling price is equal to $3,000. So you can check my math. If you have $1,800 and we divide it by 0.6, that's $3,000. Why does it go from a smaller number to a bigger number? Because we're dividing by less than 1, right? We're breaking it into smaller parts than 1. So, of course, this number is going to get bigger, right? Okay, glad we cleared that up. Let's move on to 101.3. All right, the sports car retailed for $10,368. What was the purchase price if the car had been marked up 8% of the purchase price? So the first thing we see is we need to make our little formula. SP equals the cost plus markup. And let's identify the cost. All right, we don't know what the cost was, so we're going to leave that there. But we know what the retail price or the selling price is. Retail is another word for selling price, okay? So that was this number here. So we can drop that in. 10,368 is the selling price. The markup was 8% of the purchase price. So the markup equaled 0.08 times the cost. We know the cost is the purchase price, right? This is the cost. This is the cost. We don't know what that is yet. So cost plus 0.08C So 10,368 is equal to 1.08 C. Divide both sides by 1.08, and we get 9,600 is equal to C. So the C was the cost, the original cost of the sports car. And then the markup of 8% brought it up to $10,368. So the markup, if we do the calculation and subtract 9,600 from 10,368, we find that $768 was the markup. All right. You can also get that number by saying 9600 times 0.08, which gives you 768. Or you could just add to double check the figures, and there you go. And that's part of checking your work. You need to always do that. Remember that when you're doing this, you are looking for sentences within sentences. You're looking for this of the, percentage of the, and then whatever this is here, of the what, that's going to be what goes there next to the percentage. So if it says 8% of the selling price, you put selling price here. Markup is 8% of the selling price. And then that's what you would subtract and move over to the selling price side. But if it says that it is of the purchase price, then we put the C for cost. If you wanted to, you could use P for purchase price. That's fine. It's up to you. You could even use selling price, purchase price, markup if you wanted to. Either it's all about getting these numbers in the right space and then doing the correct math, not what you call them. So use the ones that make sense to you so you know what you're looking at when you write your formula. But this right here is your clue of the what, and that's going to tell you what markup is equal to, and then that will tell you what to put right here, and then that will tell you how to solve the problem. Okay, that is all we have for lesson 101. I will see you in lesson 102.